welcome to Hero Power. I am your host, Avantes. We have a very special show planned for you guys today. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Zephyrus.
What is up, gang? What is up, gang?
we do have some very special guests joining us this week. The one, the only, Versika.
How's it going, guys? Take two, right?
Take two.
Two is always better than one.
We recorded this great 2.5-hour episode for you last week, and it was completely unusable. But yeah, also joining us, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the man who used to sit on the Hearthstone server for us, Madrid.
This isn't the best 5th anniversary show in the world. This is just a tribute.
And we're gonna start like this.
We are
absolutely.
Avanti, you got that finger on the mute button.
So we have a great show planned for you. A lot to cover, like way more information to cover this week than we actually had in the 2.5-hour show last week. So we're going to try to condense a lot of it because we have some other stuff we want to talk about. This is the 5-year anniversary of Hero Power, and we wanted to bring everybody back in to help celebrate. So
well, I mean, the good part about this week is that we actually have true facts to cover instead of just speculation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I was going to point out is while the episode that we weren't able to, put out for everybody to listen to, I hate that you missed it. We did a lot of speculating. We actually have a lot of not only news, but like a lot of news. They gave us more information in this kind of reveal than they ever did, which we'll talk about. And I'm really excited to get all 4 hosts' opinion on it. Because to me, I'm really excited about everything that they revealed.
Yeah, Matt, you can tell Matt is not excited at all about this new set.
Yeah,
I mean, he brought an old god to the party.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that I'm more excited by the fact, and it's lost to the whatever ether that the last show went to, that I called everything.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
I called it.
We talked last week at length about what the new set was going to be, and I would say we were close to 95% right just
Agreed.
Across the board.
Yeah, I called the theme completely.
Zeroshio,
which
it was not pirates versus ninjas.
Well, my second.
There's still
my
some cards to
second
be
call
revealed.
out.
There's still some cards to be revealed.
There might be pirates.
We speculated on date.
We did.
Which I called.
Man at Arms called that dead on, nailed it. We speculated that the new game mode would be ready to play right off the bat, which if you order the bundle, you can. So, I mean, we nailed the theme. I mean, across the board, we spent like an hour and a half discussing it, and we talked specifics, and we actually nailed all the specifics. I'm very proud of you guys.
It was almost like 2017 in here. I mean, we were.
Yeah. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about that.
Yeah. So,
you got us some news about our reviews.
Yeah.
Giveaway.
I wanted to. I'm gonna double check now that I'm thinking about it, make sure there haven't been any more. But yeah. So if you guys have been listening for the last couple of shows, you've heard us talk about WarcraftRadio.com. They just launched their new Blizzard Universe podcast directory. You can go over there to warcraftradio.com/directory, and you can sort by any Blizzard game. So if you sort by Hearthstone, all the podcasts that are active will immediately be alphabetized, and you can find Hero Power right there on that list. Click on it and leave us a review. Tell us what you think of the show, good, bad, or otherwise. We want to hear from you. Now, if you do this, you will automatically be entered into a drawing for a $20 Battle.net gift card that we are going to draw the winner on Sunday, November the 1st. So you have until
next week.
Yeah, next week to go to warcraftradio.com/directory, leave us a review to be entered into the drawing. Now, Zeroshio, what happens if we get more than 50 50 entries, 50 reviews? What's going to happen?
If we get more than 50 reviews, we will be giving out 2 Battle.net gift cards for $20, and I will be ponying up the second one. So get in there and get your reviews. There's a few reviews right now. I think we have 7.
Mm-hmm.
But get in there and put in a review. And next week on the 1st, when we do our recording, we will do our drawings. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Excited for Warcraft Radio to do this directory, and so far it's really starting to work because a lot of podcasts are getting reviews on there and getting noticed.
Yes, they are. And I want to throw shout outs to Nair, A Savage, Smoke Me Out, Forrest Bates, and Gromok for leaving us reviews since our last recording. So thank you guys. You're automatically entered into that drawing. You don't have to do anything else.
I also want to give a shout out to Gromok for being our newest patron and joining us on our Patreon Discord. We have a Discord just for our patrons of the show, where right now is the best time to be part of that Patreon and be in that Discord, is because we're, as soon as new cards come out, we're discussing them during the reveals. We were all in Discord talking about our thoughts of everything that was being revealed. So if you want to be part of that illustrious community, go over to patreon.com/heropower, and for as little as $1 a month, you can be part of our Discord, and it's a lot of fun. And Matt at Arms and the rest of the community does a great job of putting in the cards as they come out.
I tried to automate it this time. Let's see if it actually works. It kind of stopped in the middle of it, so we had to refill the rest. But yeah, it's a great place to see all the new cards as soon as they come out.
Yeah.
Illustrious. You make it sound so sophisticated, Zeroshio.
It is. I'm in there.
All right. So before we jump into all the news, Versika, you had some comments on some things that were brought up in our last episode about the tournament scene that I know you wanted to touch on. So why don't you tell us what you're thinking?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what we talked about last week. So it was mostly in regards to what Zeroshio had said 3 weeks ago, I guess, 3 weeks ago, about he didn't feel like the tournament moving over from Twitch to YouTube had a significant impact on the viewership. And I was saying, well, maybe not, but it definitely impacted my both ability and desire to watch the Hearthstone tournament scene. I personally, I don't like watching it on YouTube. But aside from that, it's also blocked from my work. YouTube, we can't access YouTube from where I work. So even just listening to it, I wouldn't be able to even listen to it while I was working. It would be something that I would have to do when I was at home. And to be quite honest, the current Grandmaster setup. It's been hard for me to get invested in, and I imagine that from a player standpoint, it's also if you're not in it, it's hard to kind of stay invested in the scene because you're on the outside looking in, and if you're a fan of a favorite and that favorite gets relegated or isn't even in Grandmasters during that particular portion of the tournament, it's hard for you to stay invested in competitive Hearthstone. So I feel like from a fan perspective that Grandmasters is failing us in a couple of different ways. That while I think in a vacuum and maybe in an ether, it sounded like a good idea, but I think practically, I think it has a tendency to alienate, and I'm not sure if maybe there's something that can be done about that. I don't have an answer to the question, and I hate bringing up issues that I haven't been able to formulate at least some kind of answer to. But honestly, I've just really not been that invested in Grandmaster since they made the switch. And I'm going to go full transparency. When they first moved over to Grandmasters, they had that awful one class thing going on. Yeah, they had that awful specialist thing, and that just, I feel like, you know, when I talked about it right before I left the show, I didn't like it in concept, and you know, in actuality, when it came out, it was even more boring than I thought it was going to be. But that was at a time when I was leaving the game anyway, so I really didn't put that much thought into it. I was fairly pleased that they altered it quickly and moved back into more of the Conquest format. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like Conquest, but I feel like it's better than what they started with. And I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah. So in the end, I feel like, I mean, these guys have to eat. You know, if you want them to be a Hearthstone pro, there's got to be alternatives to Grandmasters to make money, or otherwise you're going to run your pool dry pretty quickly. And I feel like we're already starting to see some of that attrition, and I don't think that's good for the game, for the competitive scene. And you guys know that I prefer Heroes of the Storm to Hearthstone. I always have, and I can tell you that one of the things that drives the desire to play the game is to see it being played at a high level. And if you don't have that, if you don't have that driving incentive to see someone play at a high level and to improve your own play, it makes it harder to stick with it if you can't see great leaps and bounds in your own play. If it is a slow process where you're moving up small amounts of skill at a time, it's easy to get discouraged and not see how well you're doing because you don't have a barometer to compare it against. And I feel like it really hurt Heroes of the Storm when the Blizzard League fell through. And while there have been a lot of attempts to resurrect it through places like Heroes Lounge and so on and so forth, it's still, I feel, greatly negatively impacted that game. I see the same warning signs in Hearthstone, and I'm hoping that Blizzard is paying attention, because I don't feel like that is where they want Hearthstone to go, because I feel like from a competitive standpoint that Overwatch League has taken over Blizzard's attention, and Hearthstone is a distant second. I don't think Blizzard is in a position to allow the Hearthstone competitive scene to really go down, because I do feel like from a monetary standpoint, I feel like Hearthstone may bring in more regular capital, more regular profits to Blizzard than Overwatch does. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe sponsorships in Overwatch are bringing in tons of cash to Blizzard. But from a player perspective and a player investment, I feel like Hearthstone, it gives them a true return on investment in more regular intervals than Overwatch does. So I don't feel like, from a personal perspective, I don't feel like they can afford to let the Hearthstone tournament scene collapse on itself. So, you know, they've got to come up with some kind of answers. But I don't think the switch to pony this back around, to bring it full circle, the reason I brought it up was because I don't feel like the move from Twitch to YouTube really enhanced the viewer experience. And in some ways, I think it alienated some people. I think a simulcast would work great, sort of like what they did with the Battlegrounds tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Allowing people to choose their platform. Choice is always going to be better than not having choice. So, you know, maybe the numbers are a little bit more divided, but I mean, you can still add them together. So
yeah.
I am concerned about Blizzard's tournament scene. I feel like it is not as healthy as it could be.
And I agree from viewership standpoint, it has been negatively impacted by YouTube, but at the same time, the reason they did it is to get the contract with Google. And the main reason the Blizzard Esports was put in there, specifically Hearthstone, was to get the OWL, the Overwatch League.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that the Hearthstone Esports on YouTube is an afterthought, and I wish that it could be simulcast, but it sounds like the contract doesn't allow for the Masters and Grandmasters to be simulcast. They obviously have some flexibility in other tournaments like the EMEA Battlegrounds that we just saw. That was simulcast, and that went really well. Had a lot of backing. So I'm hoping these are learning strides. We're seeing Team 5 and the Hearthstone team as a whole kind of do better at learning from their mistakes. But we aren't always seeing that on the esports front. And I'm hoping 2021, and we'll get those announcements probably at the BlizzCon line in February, what they're going to be doing with 2021 esports. But hopefully the 2021 esports has a change to it. Because, and I've said this before, and we said it last time we recorded this, it's sad to see relegated players like Silvername, who just got relegated, he's going to the World Championships in December. He could win the World Championships, and then we won't see him in Season 1 of 2021 because he's relegated.
Right. You'll have a world champion who is not competing in Grandmasters.
To me, that's not fair. And the reason is because it's all based on prize money. Now, we used to have a system that was based on points. It was the HCT, Hearthstone Championship Tour. And based on how you did in tournaments, you got a set of points. And you could award those points to things like World Championships. But because prize money is so kind of pushed, you can just knock out one tournament, and we'll talk about this later. There's a newcomer to the Masters Tour. If he would have won Masters Tour Madrid, he would have automatically gotten into Grandmasters because the prize money is so vastly different from first place to like making top 16. So it's, to me, the prize money as a marker is not a good marker for promotions from Masters to Grandmasters. And I'm hoping they make some changes to it. I would like to see the HCT system was very difficult because there were tournaments almost every single weekend. They were physical venues. You had people flying out 2-3 times a month to go to these tournaments to keep their points high enough. So maybe the HCT system isn't perfect, but if we could find maybe a mix, maybe adjust the points awarded to account for the fewer events, and start making partnerships with DreamHack and with Geico Gaming and PAX and these other venues that want to host events but can't because they'll conflict with your online tournaments. Maybe lighten those up and let them host some of them and find kind of a middle ground to make esports better. I think Hearthstone esports can get better. It just needs good leadership. And like I said before, the good old days of Hearthstone esports was during the Cho days. What was it? Chencho?
Something like that.
Checho. And when he left Blizzard, the esports just tanked because whoever took it over and decided on specialists doesn't know what they're doing. I want
to point out in the whole Twitch versus YouTube thing that you were talking about, we actually had the fall reveal stream happened this week, and we had talked about it last week on the show that got lost, but now after looking back at it, concurrent viewerships between the two platforms, Twitch at one point had over 92,000 people concurrently watching the stream, while YouTube capped at 14,000.
Yes, but that's going to be a little skewed because during that same time,
you're never going to draw that many players for a competitive event. I
understand that, but what I'm saying is during that simulcast, Twitch drops were happening on Twitch.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's an option that you have on Twitch.
Well, what I'm saying is those numbers might be. I still think without the drops, Twitch would be higher numbers because they just have more people watching. live events on Twitch than they do on YouTube. But I think the reason it's such a large vast is because if I can do both, I'm going to do Twitch because I get packs.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so go ahead, Matt.
No, I was agreeing with everybody.
Okay, I'm just one of the things I think that would re-engage me in the Hearthstone tournament scene, because right now I'm lost. I don't honestly, other than seeing how Bloody Face does right now, there's no one in there that I really care about, so I'm not invested in any way. I would like to see the season reduced so that they could go to more open tournaments and we could get those big tournament events. But I would like to see, this is going to sound counterproductive, I would like to see the time in season reduced and the number of players per region doubled.
Yeah,
I would like instead of 8 players, 8 pros, I would like to see 16 pros that are randomly paired, or you can pair based on win record after the first 2 weeks or whatever. And I would like to see more people involved in Grandmasters in each segment so that the relegations don't hit the premier players, but still allow room for lesser known players to enter and make a name for themselves. Because right now you can't have both.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
I want both.
I'd be down for that if you doubled the relegations.
Agreed with that. Yeah, I think the biggest problem is the fact that there isn't any real like mid-level system between your tour grinder, your online grinder, and what's it, Grandmasters at all. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like, okay, so you've been relegated from Grandmasters and you either decide to grind some more or your career is done. And that feels really bad for like players like Firebat, for players like Just Saying, who's actually probably going to get back in because based on his prize money. For players that like, decide that, okay, we're not grinding anymore, we're done. And then, it just feels bad that, there's no safety net for any of these players other than producing content. So,
right. So, I mean, unless you're just a Blizzard fanboy, and I was for almost 20 years, huge Blizzard fanboy. It was what I played when I played video games. Unless you're just a huge Blizzard fanboy, if you're playing an online CCG right now, I'm sorry, Hearthstone is the last place I'm looking to go pro because it's just so hard to make money as a pro at Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like if they're serious about having a pro scene, I don't see how that is a good place to be in. I don't see how anyone can think that is a great place to have my tournament or my pro scene is in this place where it's hard to break into, it's hard to make money, but by gosh, we're the best one out there.
I'm going to drop a bomb. I don't think they want a professional Hearthstone scene. I think they're doing it because the players want it. They're doing it because the community wants it. But I don't think Blizzard as a company is interested in Hearthstone being a strong competitive environment. They just want pack sales. Now, do I think that the devs on Team 5 want it? Yes, they do. And maybe even the director of Hearthstone does. But Blizzard as a whole, and especially Blizzard Esports, it's a loss for the company. So they really don't. I think if Blizzard Esports went away, but they still kept the same amount of sales, that they would be fine with that. However, I think if Blizzard Esports goes away, their sales tank.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's
100% agree.
Yeah, the whole thing is marketing, and everything esports is marketing. And if they're not seeing a return on investment on the marketing, then there's no reason to have the esports investment.
Well, and they're getting sponsorships.
Yeah,
I mean, they have T-Mobile right now, and that's a big company. Mm-hmm. They just merged with Sprint. They're putting a lot of money into esports. So there are companies out there that want to support games like Hearthstone in a competitive scene. So with enough effort, they can make it profitable. But I don't think they want to put in the effort.
I think this is one of those things where they wouldn't see the impact that it would have until after they'd already made the decision to stop. And at that point, to reintroduce competitive would be super difficult. And I don't think it would give them the return on investment the second time around.
Well,
So,
and I think it's important to point out that, you mentioned the devs, but, Team 5 has grown. They lost a lot of people back in February of 2019. And the team, they've started rebuilding the team, and they're building it with a lot of players or a lot of people from the community. We've seen Alec Dawson, who used to be the host of Golden Wisp, go to Team 5. We've seen Cora Giorgio, who used to be on Coin Concede, and then she was a caster, and now she's part of the initial design team.
She was a competitive player.
You've seen Chalky, who was a pro Hearthstone player, go to Team 5. And most recently, we've seen former EU Grandmaster Boar Control has now joined. He just got relegated, but he's also joined Blizzard on the final design team. So you're going to have more of these people who are closer to the community in positions to make decisions and help influence the future of the game.
Yeah, we don't want to forget Gallon either.
Yeah, and Gallon.
Yeah.
Gallon chose to leave Grandmasters to go into the final design team. And it's coming out now that a lot of the community believes that Board Control was offered the same job at the same time. And they basically said, do you want to drop out of Grandmasters, or do you want to give it a push to try to see if you can get to Worlds first? And it seems like Board Control chose, I want to try to see if I can make it to Worlds, and he got relegated. And literally the day after he got relegated, it was announced he's on the team. So obviously he had already gotten the final design team offer to him, and they were just waiting for him to become eligible and not competing. And great on Board Control for wanting to make that last push. So it's really, I'm excited to see what Board Control and that team of Board Control, Gallon, Chalky, and what Kit Kats and Reels, those competitive guys in final design. I said it. We said it last week, and I hate that we lost it, but I'm gonna say it again. I think the team on Hearthstone now, when it comes to designing sets, is doing better than the Ben Brode team. 100%. The Ben Brode era was great. Don't get me wrong. I love the Ben Brode era. It was very whimsical, and they were more community focused back then.
Yeah.
But I think that with this new breed, I think this new breed's more community open. They tell us more, but the Ben Brode team was trying to please us more. That's kind of my thought on it. But I think this new breed, this new team is better than the Ben Brode era, and don't at me.
So saying that kind of moves us into the next segment anyway. So you're very good at those transition pieces still after 5 years.
Not when you tell everybody I did it.
He's had a lot of practice, okay?
Well, I'm calling you out for what you do well. But one of the things that I did want to touch on really briefly, and we spent so much time with that last subject that I will make this super brief. Leaving Hearthstone for a while and coming back into this meta. And if you read, you'll know why I came back, and you can thank Avantis for that. But I can tell you that this is probably, from a balanced perspective, probably the second most balanced meta I've seen. Mm-hmm. And just like the last balanced meta, I don't think is necessarily healthy. And I see a huge. Okay, so this is fun. This is a fun meta to be in if you're not concentrating on winning. Exactly. But if your focus is competitive, you're a number cruncher, you're a min-maxer, and you're looking to push rank, and you're looking to play at a high level or professional level, this meta has got to be frustrating for you. because it is super
agree.
swingy. It is super win more. No one is ever out of a game, which from a casual player perspective, that is a fantastic place to be. But from a competitive perspective, I don't really know that is where you want to be because your decisions don't matter as much.
Kind of like your buddy Nigel over in the EU.
Yeah. So we won't get into that. That was something last week that we kind of got into, and that's fine. If you want to find out more about that, then get over to our patron only Discord. There was some discussion about it. That email was pleasant to receive, and I have been in touch with him since the email. We've played some games. We've talked quite a bit about this meta. He's a good guy. He's a great player. I think he overvalued what I brought to the table, but that's between he and I. So, that being said, I do think that much to what we were just talking about, I think there is this move away from competitive play because one of the things that Heroes of the Storm tried to do and failed miserably was they tried to cater to both the casual player base and the professional scene. Something that OWL has done really well is that Overwatch has catered to the professional player, while in a lot of ways I feel like that may have negatively impacted some of their casual players. Their tournament scene is strong enough that they have enough people wanting to be great and to improve their level of play that I think they have a very strong contingent of players that are okay with the game being trimmed and tuned for the competitive play. I don't know if Hearthstone can do that, and I don't know if they want to do that, but as long as they're trying to pander to both the casual player and the competitive player, it's kind of like Mr. Miyagi was talking to Daniel in Karate Kid. It's like, walk on left side of the road, fine. Walk on right side of the road, fine. Walk in middle of the road, squish like grape. Here we go.
Yeah.
If you try to walk in the middle of the road here, you're just going to get run over. You have to pick a side, and you've got to decide, this is how we're going to tune the game. This is how we're going to this is the focus for our expansions. We're going to focus on competitive play and high level play? Are we going to focus on these random super swingy, super win more fun reactions, but that's going to be at the cost of a real competitive scene? Because there's a lot of people out there that they don't consider Hearthstone a professional caliber game because there is so much RNG, or because there is so many huge game swing elements in the design. And this new set coming out looks like it's going to be more of that same thing. And while that's not bad from a casual player's perspective, I love it. I think it's really fun. But if I'm a competitive player, I've got to be frustrated at this point.
Yeah, we say on Squelch a lot, and says this is the tagline of the podcast. Hearthstone is a game, and games are meant to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, right now Hearthstone's a ton of fun, especially if you're a ladder player. This new set, especially with the new Yogg, is going to be a lot of fun. It's probably not going to be competitive, thank goodness, because 19% of the time it's not going to do what you want it to do, and 5% of the time it's just going to kill somebody. So, we're not getting into card reviews yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but to my point, it's like, on the ladder perspective, the meta is amazing. It's probably the best meta since Ungoro, in my opinion. From a competitive perspective, it really stinks making a Conquest lineup, because right now you can kind of have to target Paladin or try to beat be Paladin. I don't know. It's like I haven't figured it out yet, and the THL season's ending and my team's in last place, so that kind of tells you how Conquest is done for me.
Right now, if you want to climb consistently in Hearthstone, your only real choice is Paladin because it has the best total matchups. Outside of that, everything else is a coin flip most of the time, and that's, with the exception of Shaman and Warlock. And actually, I've been climbing with Warlock, which was insane, but I'm down at a place where there's a ton of Demon Hunters, and Demon Hunter, apparently Warlock hard counters Demon Hunter. Who knew?
Yeah.
Which deck are you playing? Because I want the list, because I need to play
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's a discard Warlock. Is it
Zoo?
It's more of a tempo.
Sweet. Anyway.
But yeah, I've been having, like, my win rate versus Demon Hunters is somewhere in the high 80s. But that's mostly what I mean. Where I'm at currently down in Silver is Demon Hunter and Hunter with the occasional Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
So I queue up against the Paladin, and most of the time I lose against the Paladin. I expect that. But against the Hunter and the Demon Hunter, it's been doing really well. So I imagine that once I get out of that is sort of micro meta there at the bottom of and mid of Silver, and you start getting into the mages and the paladins and more warriors. I've been seeing some bomb warriors as I've been climbing a little bit higher. I imagine that Warlock does lose its luster and you need to switch to something else. But, down there at the bottom, if you're struggling in bronze and low level silver, try Warlock. It seems to be doing pretty well for me.
Yeah.
That, I've got a control shaman deck that I've been wearing people out with too. That's how I beat my paladins. If I run into a paladin cluster, I switch over to that. And usually it puts me right against a demon hunter. So it's a good way to get out of a paladin stretch. But yeah, so I feel like right now that, like we said, it's a balanced meta. I don't think it's a competitively healthy meta, but man, it's fun. If you just enjoy playing Hearthstone right now and you're not worried about climbing, it is a fantastic time to be playing just one of those games where strategy doesn't matter as much as drawing the right card at the right time.
And if you enjoy playing Paladin, like I do.
Yeah. And if you enjoy playing Paladin right now, you are getting to ride the gravy train because Paladin right now is so overtuned, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's face it, Paladin has been at the bottom for a while until really late or middle of this year. And it deserves some time at the top. It's been a while since Paladin has really ruled the roost, and it rules the roost right now. I mean, it's hands down the best deck as far as matchups go. It doesn't have very many bad matchups, and its bad matchups, really compared to other decks, aren't that bad. So,
and its worst matchup got nerfed.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump right into the meat and potatoes of what we have to talk about this week, and that is the fall reveal stream that happened 3 days ago on October the 22nd. So we had talked about what we thought we might see from this in the episode we lost last week. So now we, as Versika said at the beginning of the show, we have hard facts now. And those facts are, there is a new set coming, Madness at the Dark Moon Fair, November the 17th. So we are less than 30 days away from this new expansion. With this, we are also getting a brand new game mode, Duels, which is playable now with early access if you pre-purchase one of the bundles. And we're getting a brand new progression system that looks fantastic from what we've seen. We're gonna run through this.
There is one new thing that we learned from this reveal, and that Brian Kibler is jacked.
Brian Kibler's pandemic routine has been good to him. We will say that.
Divorce Brian Kibler has turned into the Brad Pitt of the Hearthstone.
There's a reason. There's a reason why we have his channel in the Squelch Discord called Stupid Sexy Kibler. because I was posting thirst post in that Discord channel. His dang.
All right.
I don't know if you all watch his stream regularly, but he's been starting to alternate weightlifting sessions as part of his streaming routine, not just gaming. And it's paid off because he is jacked. It showed, and he did a really good job of hosting this. It was kind of an SNL, Saturday Night Live style hosting, where he kind of, I don't know how much of this was pre-recorded, where he would do kind of a couple bits and he'd sit on some props and he would introduce the next video, and then they go into the obviously pre-recorded video, which it wasn't 100% live, which I kind of appreciated because it allowed it to be very clean and did a good job of disseminating the information.
Yeah, I mean, there was some production of value associated with it that isn't normal on those live reviews, and that was kind of refreshing.
Yeah, that's very true. So, Matt at Arms, why don't you tell us about the new game mode Duels?
So, Duels is a PvP dungeon run version of Dungeon Run. You basically start right now. You choose a hero. We have choose one of 10 heroes. You get 4 options. You choose a hero power, which right now you have 1 hero power choice, and a treasure, which you have 1 hero power choice. So right now in the early access version, this is pretty much the BlizzCon floor demo of duels.
Yeah.
Once you pick your hero, your hero power, and your initial treasure, you go into your collection, and you build a 16-card deck, 1 of each, using your entire collection, or not entire collection. It's limited to whatever sets they allow at the time.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's like Karazhan, Nax. I want to say there's a Scholomance, and I think there's one more set in there. I'm not sure what it is. So it's a real
It's
limited
going to be
pool.
Whispers of the Old Gods, but
Yeah,
that
well,
one's
yeah.
not added yet.
And basic and classic, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. So you build a 16-card deck based with your own collection, and you go up against other players. You start at 20 HP, and each win you get 5 more HP, and you play until you get 12 wins or 3 losses. Right now you're only open to normal mode, which is base or I think it's just called casual actually, where you do have an MMR. They show you the MMR. But there will be a heroic version which costs the same as arena and will give you the exact same arena rewards at the same win levels. Heroic's coming in on the 17th with the new set, and honestly, this is all I've been playing since it came out because I had bad impulse control, and as soon as it asked me to buy to pre-order to get it, I did. So,
yeah, the pre-orders, it's a good one.
Yeah. The base pre-order is probably one of the best deals they've offered. $39.99 for 45 packs.
Yeah, and a legendary. Now you don't get the golden legendary like you used to in the other bundles, but it's also $10 cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a good job of making the more expensive bundles more lucrative because the $80 bundle gets you 45 packs, gets you 80 packs and 5 golden packs, as
Plus
well as the golden legendary portrait and the card back. So I think they're making the more. And what?
And you also get, I think, the new battle pass once it goes live.
You'll get
the
new battle
Cthulhu
pass.
Hero.
No, N'Zoth.
N'Zoth, okay.
Yeah, it's N'Zoth. But the $80 bundle, they're doing kind of like what I suggested, almost 2 years ago. They're making the $80 bundle more enticing to buy, and then they're making the lesser bundle just a little cheaper, but not really changing the value that's in it. And this is something they've been kind of tweaking every set. The prices fluctuate, and this is kind of the sweet spot for me. I hope this is what they keep doing. And I've said that before, and they've made it better. So maybe they'll make it better. I don't know.
Well, it's about time. I'm still pretty miffed about that Headless Horseman bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But and we should probably bring it up when we talk about the new set. The bundles will actually make sense because they're adding a mini set with an addition late in the cycle of the original sets, starting with this new set.
Yeah. So there's going to actually be 170 cards in this new set instead of 135 like previous sets.
Well, it's 135 now, and then halfway through between now and the next set, they'll do another 35. Now, they said that there's not going to be something you have to purchase, but they're going to put the 35 additional cards in packs. They weren't clear on whether they would get their own packs or they would just be thrown in the current packs.
They'll just be thrown in the current packs.
Okay.
So, like, the duplicate protection still will take an effect. So any new packs you buy after the new cards come out will have those new cards in them.
So you're going to have a reason to spend your gold on packs halfway through the set cycle, which before people just saved it up.
Well, and I mean, this is a smart business decision because not only in this new set do I feel like they're making gold more scarce with the new progression system, but you also what is the big complaint between sets?
Boredom.
Is that the meta gets solved,
stale. Yeah.
and then it becomes stale. So what you're doing is, as long as the cards in this mid-set are impactful, you're getting that mid-set stimulus for lack of a better word. You're getting something that could be meta warping or meta altering coming out in the middle of the cycle after the meta has already, quote, been solved. So not only are you getting new cards in the middle of a meta, but now Blizzard has another cash flow. You spend money at the beginning, and then in the middle of the meta, especially if the cards are impactful, you have a reason to buy cards. Now you're going to buy cards either through cash or through gold. So what does that do? Well, it drains people from saving up ridiculous amounts of gold via Avanti style. So come around the next set rotation, they're more likely to spend real money. Or they're impatient in the middle of the cycle, and they spend more real money in the middle of the cycle, which gives you a cash influx in the middle of the cycle and doesn't hurt as bad when you get to the next set and they've got a ton of gold and they don't buy as many packs. It's actually a very smart way to solve a problem. You're solving a player problem and you're creating a new cash flow, either on the front end or the back end. It's actually really smart and really well done. I don't have a problem with it at all. In fact, I think it's a very sophisticated but elegant way to solve a problem, and I think they did a really good job with it.
Let's talk about this new progression system that you're mentioning. So they did mention they're introducing a battle pass system that is going to replace daily quests. So now you'll still get daily quests, but as Versika said, instead of gold, you're going to get experience points that is going to work you along this bar, this progression bar, and every level on the progression bar, you'll get gold or packs or alternative skins.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So Zeroshio, tell us, what is your initial thought having seen what the battle pass, what they showed us in the video during the reveal stream?
So the new, not just the battle pass, but the new progression system is really well overhauled, and basically is going to have a UI that's going to give you your daily quests. You're going to have weekly quests. You're going to have a section just for event quests, because before they would do event quests that would take up one of your daily quest slots. So if you had 3 daily quests, you basically lose a daily quest. And now you'll have a whole nother section so you don't ever lose those quests. You'll be able to re-roll each section, the daily and the weekly, once a day. So if you have a weekly quest you don't like, every day you can re-roll one. Also, there's going to be achievements, an achievement section. I don't know if it's going to have a rewards tied to it, but I know I'm somebody that loves achievements, and I love anything I can take a screenshot of to brag about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is right up my alley with this new system. And then finishing, like you said, your quest rewards, XP, to move you across the battle pass. There's going to be the battle pass is the new progression system is totally free. You don't have to put any money into it. There will be a section that if you purchase a battle pass, that you will get additional bonuses. But that's just additional bonuses beyond what you would normally get per day. So you don't have to spend money. I know a lot of people are really critical that, now I have to spend money to get my daily quest. No. If you want to get more out of your daily quest, you spend money. But to me, that's somebody like me that would buy maybe a small bundle, a $20 bundle halfway through the set. Well, now I just buy the battle pass and I'll get close to the same amount of rewards.
So there's something very similar to this in Clash of Clans, where at the beginning of the month you can buy a $4.99 gold pass, and as you progress through the achievements for the month, you have a second set of rewards that line up with the set that you'd be normally progressing along anyway. It's very well done. It's inexpensive, so players, I don't know anyone that doesn't partake in that gold pass. And if Blizzard is not greedy and they're smart with this will be a great alternative cash flow to infuse cash into it. Because, I mean, for $4.99, if you know you're going to be playing a ton during the month, why would you not do something like that? You get to $9.99, maybe not. Depends on how much time you get into it. If it's $14.99, you can forget about it because you got to buy packs too. So it's all going to rely on price point, which to this point I don't know that they've talked about price point yet, have they?
Yeah, they haven't talked about price point, but like if you go by what they've done with the battle pass, the Battlegrounds pass, it's going to be that runs about $20 at the beginning of expansion. But like with this, you're going to get like I think three hero skins, three hero skins at least. You'll progress faster. You'll get closer to level 50, which is the maximum level. And after you reach level 50, every level you hit after that just gives you 100 gold.
So here's my thing with that. I'm much more likely to give you $7 a month than I am to give you $24 up front.
This is per season. It's like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, this is for like the expansion period.
I understand that. I'm saying that I think they missed the mark on this. I think the idea was there, but once again, how many people do you know that still subscribe to WoW that actually buy the year up front or the 6 months up front?
I mean, that's the way we've always done it in my household. But I do realize I'm the 1%. I'm the outlier.
Yeah, most people I know that play WoW because they don't know if they're going to be playing 2 months now. They do it month to month. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spend $25 or $30 on a pass, not knowing how the meta is going to shake out, not knowing if I'm interested in it to play in the third month. So that makes it way less enticing to me than offering, like I said, a $4.99 or a $6.99 or whatever.
Currently, we don't know the price point, and furthermore, that initial thought of the $20 right now includes extra access to more heroes in Battlegrounds, early access to heroes and patches. So, I mean,
I get it. You can throw as many toys as you want into it. But
I agree.
I could go out and get a Land Rover for $30,000 more than my Jeep right now. It's got all kinds of loaded toys. But I mean, the point was that I want to drive an SUV. So am I necessarily going to go and break the bank on it time and time again? Because remember, they're lowering the amount of gold that you're going to get unless you just play a ton of money. So from a free-to-play player's perspective, your options are already kind of going down. If they back players into a corner,
they're not going to back you. No,
I don't think they are. Ixar has already came out saying that the free pass is going to be the same as what you get now, if not a little bit better.
Yeah.
And a lot of that depends on how much you play.
Right. It all depends on how big a fanboy you are in Hearthstone, how much you want to collect stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not a collector. I could honestly give a damn whether I get 4 player skins or not. It doesn't matter to me as much. What matters to me is, can I progress at the same rate as everyone else if I don't have this? So for me, losing that gold is a bigger deal if I can't find a way to recoup that. It doesn't matter to me if you give me 4 hunter skins. I don't play hunter. 4 warlock skins. I don't play warlock. One of my biggest pet peeves with Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch League is that most of the loot boxes are garbage. It's full of stuff that I'm never going to use, voice lines and things like that. If you fill your rewards full of easy stuff that isn't incentive building to go and get, on top of already having to pay into the game once every 3 to 4 months, you're backing me into a financial corner where I'm either financially invested in Hearthstone or I'm financially invested not to play Hearthstone because I can't keep up. Magic got into that problem. Magic got into that problem for a long time, and it took a long time for them to dig out of that hole.
And Magic Gathering Arena has a battle pass system. As a matter of fact, most games are going to a battle pass system. Marvel Strike Force, a game that we all play, just announced they're doing a battle pass. I think this is just the new way games are going to make money.
What they're calling the new normal, and
you know what? It's basically a subscription.
Mm-hmm, it is, and Magic's battle pass is sort of like this one. It's for like 2 months at a time or 3 months at a time, and it's $19.99.
Yeah. So when you think about it, how much do you normally spend? Well, I mean, you all bought the pre-order, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not,
Okay.
not the expensive one.
And
yeah.
honestly, I can go ahead and tell you now. I know for a fact I'm buying both of the bundles that are going to be available for this.
We're
set.
whales.
And
We're all
you
whales.
normally don't. Avanti's normally doesn't buy the bundles.
So let's look
So
at
something's changed to make you buy this bundle, obviously.
it. So let's look at it now. Now that battle pass, is it included in the bundle?
In the
expensive
mega bundle, yes.
Yes.
So it's
The
included in
$80
the
one.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
So you're the $40 and the $80. So you're $120 in.
Uh-huh.
So are you going to spend that next expansion? You don't know yet, right?
Don't know yet, but
most
I
of the
mean,
time-
it depends on what, if they continue like this, where they're offering new things, then
Yeah.
I would probably be tempted to.
So you're how much would you say you spent on Hearthstone last month or last year?
Last year I
bundles?
bought 2 out of the 3 mega bundles, so I would say about 160.
Okay, so you're already saying that you're spending 120 on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a $20 battle pass and then you get the base level expansion, let's just say that you get the base level thing the next expansion comes around. Well, you're moving that from 40 to 60 just boom right off the bat with the battle pass.
If you get the battle pass.
If you
you
get
get
the battle pass, yeah.
Right. So you're at $60 a year on what you're already spending on Hearthstone,
Which
you're already spending anywhere between 40 and 50 for a base bundle and 80 to 90 for a
mega bundle. So now let's look at it the other way. If I'm going to buy the base bundle and then buy the battle pass at 60, why not just drop the additional 20 for double the packs? Get the battle pass included. No, there's no reason to buy the small bundle. You just buy the mega bundle.
But in effect, you have effectively doubled what you normally put in.
Mm.
It's a smart way to do it.
It is.
Yeah.
What I'm just saying is some players are not going to be able to swing that. So
I agree.
This new battle pass system has got to be done in a manner that doesn't leave players out because they're not willing to fork over double what they were putting in the year before.
The thing is with the paid track, they've said that like the only thing different in the paid track is the cosmetics.
Yes.
So they're like, okay, there might be a bit of an experience boost as opposed to like you might earn levels a little faster.
Right.
But
so that's what I'm talking about. How much faster are you going to earn those levels? And
but if you
only battle pass that I am right now accustomed and playing with is from Clash of Clans, and I can tell you that I move at 4 times the normal rate for $4.99 a month.
I think they said the multiplier is like 1.5 to like 1.25, so it's not tremendously bigger.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those like but also that I'm going to put it this way, that battle pass you pay for in Clash of Clans. Say you play Clash of Clans for 4 months, you're paying $20 for that battle pass.
Right, but I can choose.
You're doing the exact. But yeah, you can choose not to do that for a month.
I can right because this month where I knew this month was going to be busy for me.
Yeah.
I didn't pay it because I knew that I wasn't going to be on, and I'm probably not going to pay it next month because next month is the same. In fact, going into the holiday season, I probably won't purchase that again until the new year.
Yeah. Well, like the same thing kind of applies with the Hearthstone because the way they've done the bundle for the for Battlegrounds, where halfway through a set they drop the price to $10. So like you get it late, and then so I think if like okay, so you haven't bought the battle pass yet.
The person that bought it at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean you're just you're making the choice there. You're like, okay, am I going to pay for the next 3 months, 4 months? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't end up paying, it sucks, but you're out you're out $5, whatever.
Well, and that's why with you guys saying that it's going to be a multi-month bundle, immediately I'm just not interested. Because I'm not necessarily going to be playing Hearthstone in a month. If I don't like the meta, I'll pop out. I mean, I'm not.
I'm different. So
I'm not addicted to it anymore.
Yeah, I'll be playing. Yeah, like I've been playing Hearthstone for 5 years. I don't see myself stopping. I really haven't taken a break until this month.
See, my thing is, with or the meta doesn't matter. If the meta is not good, I won't play ladder. I'll play battlegrounds or I'll play duels. If the meta is good, then okay, yeah, sure, I'll play ladder. But That's not important to me. The meta doesn't matter to me. Ladder doesn't matter to me. It's the least enjoyable part of the game for me. I would much rather just spend my time playing Battlegrounds or playing Duels. Duels was made for me. I love the deck building aspect of the dungeon run content that we saw in previous expansions. You guys have heard me harp on it many times on this show.
Right. Well, so this is also one small point of contention for me is your library matters now. So those past sets where people dusted wild cards.
Well, that's your fault.
Well, yeah.
So
I've never dusted a card that wasn't a duplicate. So
it was a choice. It was a choice where you decided which game mode that you wanted to be in, and now they've suddenly changed the rules.
Well, that's
so
not really.
Now wild cards matter in something that isn't wild, which for a lot of people, the wild format's just not. It's not for them because they made zero attempt to really balance it. Virtually zero attempt to really balance wild. Yeah. Which a lot of players like, but for people I feel like who were seriously competitive in Hearthstone, Wild just didn't really appeal to them because it was so wild, you know. Yeah. So why keep those cards around when you can use them to help augment your standard play? And now you've got a game mode where, you know. Now having those cards,
people like me are going to be able to excel because we didn't dust anything.
But here's the thing: card design has changed so much in the last 2 years in this game, where most of the cards you're going to use when you build a deck are the most recent cards, and there's going to be a few cards back in Naxxramas, Nax previous to that were really strong. That were honestly legendaries aren't an issue because most of the legendaries designed 3 years ago were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're not even synergistic. Maybe you'll have to craft Lothep again, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's so most of those cards that you may want are commons and rares. They're cheap, and you're only going to need one of them because you only put one in the deck, and there's only 16 cards in the deck, and every other card you get offered is from all of Hearthstone. Yeah, and they're given to you like they're given to you in Arena.
The only part that uses your collection is the 16 cards you put in. When you're between rounds and they offer you a collection of cards, that's not from your pool. That's just from the pool of sets they're offering. So I can see the point, but I think they obviously there's some stylistic and kind of way you do things differently with the new sets. But now that we have multiple ways to play Hearthstone, we can play Arena, we can play Duels, we can play Battlegrounds, we can play Constructed, whether it's Wild or Standard. I think that these changes, while might exclude a couple people here and there, it's going to include a lot more because there's so many ways to play.
I mean, you're going to get choices, which are always good because really the only choice for a long time was Standard Ladder.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
So, I mean, the introduction of Battlegrounds and Duels give you someplace else to play besides competitive ladder. That's good. That is good for the game. All I'm saying is that, be careful. They have to be careful that in their efforts to infuse cash into the game, that they're not going to drain. That they're not going to make it cost prohibitive to play the game and stay competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you can
see that very easily getting out of hand here.
Yeah, but
I can agree with that.
Yeah, there's that, but it's also now there's this issue of there's a fractured player base where somebody can join the game and they can play Duels for the rest of their entire time they play. They can play Arena for the rest of the time they play. Okay, they can play Battlegrounds, and there's people who just all they do is play Battlegrounds. They haven't touched Standard Rank Ladder since Battlegrounds came out.
Here's my point. In Marvel Strike Force, you don't have to buy your characters. You can farm them.
Mm-hmm.
In Clash of Clans, you don't.
No, I have to. I have to buy them.
you may have to, but you don't have to buy anything in Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
You can farm it slower, but you pretty much have to buy packs in this new progression system.
I agree.
You're not going to be able to earn gold without buying packs. So they have very cleverly made it to where buying packs is now incentivized over playing for free, and I'm fine with that. The reason why I don't like the multi-month battle pass is because in those other games, I wasn't having to buy what I'm playing with. That was given to me. This is not given to me. I have to buy what I'm playing with, and I have to buy a battle pass. If it is, do you see what I'm saying? If you make it where you feel like you have to have a battle pass in order to stay competitive, then lower the price of the cards. Yeah,
that's fair.
If you try to pull milk from all the udders at the same time, the cow's going to kick
you. Okay.
All right.
That's a vivid analogy, but yes, I agree.
Shall we move on?
Oh.
Yeah.
So we had a set announced. And this set is madness.
I love this.
At the Dark Moon Fair.
Yes. I was waiting for somebody to pick it up. If you didn't watch the video with Dave Kosak, it is hilarious. And all they did is play on, this card is madness.
At the Dark Moon Fair.
Exactly. Over and over again. We have the new set. It's called Madness at the Dark Moon Fair. And it is an Old Gods and Dark Moon Fair inspired set. So basically, the Dark Moon Fair has kind of been corrupted and literally enveloped by the Old Gods. And we remember the Old Gods from Whispers of the Old Gods. Well, there's new incarnations of them. We're not going to go over all the cards. We're going to start our card reviews and reveals starting next episode. But what do you guys think of this kind of setting, this theme? I love it personally.
Matt, what are your thoughts?
Whispers of the Old Gods was probably one of my favorite sets of all time. I loved absolutely everything in that set. I love the corrupted original, corrupted classic cards. I love everything. And looking at the design choices and some of the designs they made, especially for Cthulhu, because the fact that the design on Cthulhu is probably one of my favorite designs in the game. It reminds me so much of one of my favorite Warlock cards, which is Rin, their first disciple, where you basically have to jump through all the hoops to make a completely ridiculous win condition, and it's amazing. I really like the corrupt mechanic. Really kind of plays against the curve stone joke that we have always pop up.
So tell us what the corrupt mechanic is.
So corrupt mechanic is if you remember Kobolds and Catacombs, it reminds me a lot of Spellstones.
Okay.
Where there's a card that comes in your hand, it has a base cost. There's a shaman card, 4 mana, deal 4 damage. Has a corrupt effect on it. If you play a card that costs more mana than the card in your hand, it corrupts the card and makes it more powerful. So in that case, the shaman card does 4 damage and then 2 damage to all enemy minions. So it basically allows you to make the choice okay, do I need the 4 damage removal now, or do I play this bigger thing and then play the 4 damage removal plus next turn or the turn after that?
And it doesn't change the cost of the card at all.
No, not at all. So it makes for interesting play styles. There's some corruption matters cards, especially with the new Yasraj, where so it's a really cool mechanic. That's the only thing we know so far. They didn't give us a whole lot of detail yet. Then we know it's going to be 100. They know it's going to be 135 cards plus a 35 card mini set later in the year. They've said in interviews that the mini set is going to be mostly commons and rares, and a couple, maybe one or two epics, and maybe 1 legendary.
That's good for crafting.
Yeah. So if you don't want to spend money gold on packs, if you have dust laying around, you can craft the new cards that are important. Tying into the achievements, however, there is an achievement now when the new set drops. If you collect 135 cards of the new set, you get a
token.
Dark Moon Fair. A customizable coin, so you can coin conceit and style. Yeah. To quote Brian Kibler. So, this set looks a lot like a ton of fun, and I love the old gods. I'm a big Johnny player. I love just making, or maybe it's a Timmy. I don't know, but I just love big things that do big things. And
I saw you, you brought up the shaman card, and it looked
yeah,
like the gears in Versika's head started turning.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what?
So I'm just thinking the corrupted mechanic is a control player's wet dream.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say, what's your overall take on what you've heard so far about the new set?
So I one of the things that Hearthstone is kind of known for, and I feel like is an important part of Hearthstone's identity, is that they take a concept and they make it whimsical without making it dumb. And this is just another great example of taking two WoW concepts, melding them together in a whimsical way and creating what seems to be like a very fun environment to be in, but still at the same time dramatic and dynamic at the same time.
Mhm.
So I like the setting. I like bringing the old gods into the Dark Moon Fair because you kind of got that dark mysticism thing going on from both sides. So I really like the overall feel of the set, probably as much as any set since Witchwood. I really liked the Witchwood overall feel, the themology, but I really, really, really like the corrupted mechanic. My fear is that the corrupted mechanic is going to go the way of Inspire. Inspire is a mechanic that required time, and you had to be thoughtful. You had to be precise. You had to be aware of what was going on. You had to plan a couple of moves ahead. But if they, let some crazy aggro class right out of the bat, right out of the gate, where it doesn't matter where you can't afford to hold corrupted cards to get their power,
Mhm.
then it's going to make the whole thing moot. So
That's
I'm
true.
cautiously optimistic. I like the corrupt mechanic, but I know that there tends to be an antithesis to these things where they're attempting balance, and they're thinking if we put in this super aggro thing over here, it'll balance out all this control, and the aggro just ends up taking over. So if they have balanced the set properly, corrupt is going to be a great concept that allows players to play powerful effects. So you get that Windworm mechanic that they seem really intent on driving home, but you're doing it in a purposeful, strategic way, which is fine with me. I think that's great, and maybe you keep some of that element of competitive and high level play involved. So as long as corrupt is the mechanic that is given the attention, and you don't put in some type of strange pendulum swing on the other end of the spectrum that just goes out of control, then I think it has the possibility to go down as one of the best sets they've released.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I do hope they do some lower costed corrupt cards, maybe some 1 or 2 cost corrupt cards that have control aspects to them, not to enhance more aggro. So you can play. Maybe it's a 1/2 minion on turn 1, but if you play a 2 cost and now you play that 1 cost on turn 3 or 4, it's maybe it does damage to the board or gets taunt or something like that. I could see that,
Mhm.
and that might curb aggro taking control. So far with this set, we've only seen like maybe 10 cards. It does seem very combo and control centric, which really gets me excited, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Paladin.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to run through this patch 18.6 that went live on Thursday. I'm going to go through this really quick so that we can move on to the other stuff we want to talk about. So we saw some balance changes come down with this patch. If you guys want to dig into those, they will be on in the show notes, but it's the Evocation and Solarian Prime that we talked about 2 weeks ago now, I believe.
I don't think we've talked about it on the show at all.
Okay.
Because we didn't have the news on it. So Evocation goes from 1 mana to 2 mana, and the Solarian Prime, which is the Prime version, goes from 7 mana to 9 mana. Spoiler alert, it did not seem to impact Tempo Mage all that much.
Right.
Tempo Mage is still being played. Evocation's being played. Solarian is it just has to be played differently. But it has impacted the meta in a way that Paladin's gotten even better because it was countered by Mage.
Okay.
Yeah, Mage win rate has dropped below 50% according to
Yeah.
Vicious Syndicate. So it's not.
It's still good though.
Yeah.
It's still good.
Then we got the new Madness at the Dark Moon Fair free legendary in Silas Dark Moon. So Silas is a 7 mana 4/4 battle cry. Choose a direction to rotate all minions. So if you guys have played Tavern Brawl where the board moves around,
Carousel.
Yeah, the carousel style. You now have that in standard.
Yeah, and in Wild, there's already an OTK with this. You use the I forget the name of the card, but it's a 1 mana 1/4 that when you do damage to it, it damages its controller. So you play Silas to give that to your opponent, then you shield slam it in Odd Warrior. And then I have played a deck that I took Mill Rogue in Wild, and I added Silas, Anka the Buried, and Octosari, so I can give my opponent a 1 mana 1/1 Octosari, and then either attack it with my weapon or backstab it and make him draw 8 cards. I put a link to a replay of that in our patron Discord. It's a lot of fun.
Evil man.
I think a lot of these cards that they give us, and everybody gets this free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to buy a bundle.
Just log
into Hearthstone, you get it. And a lot of times these cards, people find real niche, weird ways to play with it. And then it kind of gets dismissed as a bad card because nobody can figure it out. And then a card like Vargoth, who was given to us for free, when the new set comes out, all of a sudden it becomes broken.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some people to this day still think Vargoth needs to be nerfed.
It does.
And maybe Silas gets to the point when the set comes out. Maybe something in that set breaks it and it needs to be nerfed. We'll find out.
All right.
I just realized we've seen all the neutral legendaries in this set now.
Yes.
Because they only have 5, do they?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we also got Hearthstone Duels early access. If you bought the bundle, it's available to play now. The casual mode. And then we get a new Battlegrounds hero in Zephyrus. So Zephyrus's hero power is 4 gold. If you have 2 copies of a minion, find the third. You can use it 3 times.
Yeah, so it makes you goldens if you get 2 copies.
Yes.
But it's 4 mana. I think that I haven't been able to play with it or have it played against me. But I think it's going to go bottom tier because it's kind of go the way Reno was, where Reno was originally 4 mana, and I think now it's been buffed all the way down to 1 mana, or not mana, but 1 gold to use, and now he's really good. So
Reno's free now, I think actually.
Is it free?
Yeah.
It's free, but you can only use it once.
Yep.
That's right.
Right.
So they might have to buff this, but I think it's a good entry point, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. So that brings us to Masters Tour Madrid, which is happening this weekend. Actually, I think it just wrapped up while we were recording. So our top 8 of Masters Tour Madrid saw J4U versus MM78.
2 pretty unknown guys.
Mm-hmm. J4U wins that match. Then you had IGXC defeats High 3 to move on. You had Gabby defeating Give Please to move on. And then you had...
That was a good series.
Then you had Grandmaster Alutimu defeating... I'm going to destroy this.
Batu Pak Soy.
Batu Pak Soy. So, all right. So in the top 4, we had IGXC moving on to the finals after defeating Gabby, and Grandmaster Alutimu defeating J4U to move on to the finals.
Up to this point, J4U, who's relatively unknown, was 9-0 through Swiss, undefeated. This goes to a 5-game series. If J4U wins and goes to the finals, he then takes the spot of Frenetic as being promoted out of EU. So Letta, Warma, who just got relegated from EU, and Frenetic are getting promoted into Grandmasters. So J4U is playing to possibly go into Grandmasters and ends up losing to Alutimu. This is a match that I would watch. It's very, very good. Yeah. Very technical.
And so in the finals, we saw IGXC out of China defeat Alutimu out of the APAC region.
Yep.
So it was.
I didn't see that. That was while we were recording.
Yes, yeah. But it was a good weekend of Hearthstone. So.
Yep.
All right.
See, this goes back to kind of what I was talking about. I don't know any of those players. Like, those results don't interest me at all.
Of the top 8, the only one I know is Alutimu. So
this is a relatively unknown list, which is actually surprising lately in Masters Tours. There have not been, most of the Masters Tours lately have had Grandmasters and top players. I only know of IGXC. IG's his team name. And I knew Gabby, Give Please, and Alutimu. So I only knew 4 of the top 8.
Yeah, I only knew Alutimu.
J4U and MM78 are pretty much unknown, and High 3 I think is out of China. And I don't know a lot about the Chinese player other than XC, because XC's gotten a lot of notice lately in the Masters Tour. He's been one of the top performers in the Masters Tour ever since. See, China didn't compete in the Worldwide Masters Tours until VK Lion won World Championships. And then they started going to our Masters Tour. So they don't get any promotions based on this. It's just prize money for them. But it does give them experience and practice for their own Masters system. It's the China Gold Series, where they can go to represent, be a Grandmaster for China.
See, the China tournament system is so much deeper and harder to get into.
Yeah,
that I think Chinese players really have an advantage when they come into a tournament setting like Masters Tour, like a Masters Tour, or even actually in the global finals when they get, because they are constantly grinding. You have to be grinding, get even into the Gold Series or anything a high level in the tournament there. And it's something that even like EU, even NA, and especially NA and APAC doesn't have, and I think it really shows the level of play that is coming from China that is so much higher level than what we have in the Western Hearthstone scene.
These Masters Tours are about 350 people deep.
Yeah.
The Chinese weekend, they end up being like a week-long tournament. Their qualifying tournaments that are equivalent to our Masters Tour usually seat 15,000 players. Mm-hmm. They break them up into satellite tournaments that basically you have to win a 32-person or 64-person tournament just to go to another tournament of another 256 you have to get top 8 on to then go to another tournament throughout the weekend. So you end up competing in, like, instead of one tournament over the course of 3 days, it's one big tournament, but you're basically playing 4 and 5 different tournaments for this one tournament. So the Chinese players have really stepped up their game, and I'm glad to see them out competing in these tournaments throughout the world for Masters Tour. It really shows us before you wouldn't see a Chinese player until the World Championships, and you didn't know anything about them. Now you do, and this is good. And again, it's another thing that VK Lion did for the Hearthstone competitive scene. On top of, breaking the barrier of gender, she also broke the barrier of Chinese competitive esports throughout the world.
And maybe that's how we fix the esports system, because guess what China's Hearthstone client has that we don't have?
A tournament mode.
Exactly.
Yep.
There you go.
Anyway, move on. Let's move on.
All right. So this next bit is more for us than it is for you guys, but October the 15th, 2015, we recorded the very first episode of Hero Power. You guys remember Alex was in his kitchen.
Yep.
Zeroshio was at a different angle, and I mean it was, and that episode, guess what? That episode was our second take as well, because the beginning, like, I think my mic was muted the whole like first 5 minutes of that show.
Yep. History has a tendency to repeat itself.
Oh, that's very true. Very true. So we just want to take a minute and reflect on the last 5 years of this podcast and what it's meant for each of us. And Versika, let's start with you this time.
Oh, great. So I really enjoyed the stuff we did actually outside the show. I mean, recording the show each and every week was great, and I mean, there's a lot of work that went into it. So when we got together and did other things with Hearthstone as a group, to me, those were the most memorable things. When we hosted a qualifier for HCT back, when that was a thing.
There's a few.
Yeah, but that first one, that first one
yeah.
where we, Blizzard sent us the equipment. We had
Espo.
8 people. Espo came down from Legend of the Innkeeper to help us with the,
Bloody Face.
Yeah, we met Bloody Face. I mean, we partnered up with Level Up Games. Everything was. I had to click on all cylinders to get everything together, and we did, and that was fun for me. Our travel down to DreamHack in Atlanta, watching Zeroshio compete, but getting to interact with everybody down there, and then we've had some really great special guests that have come on. That when we started this thing, we were just like, well, if no one listens, are we still going to do it? And we're just like, yeah, we just want to talk about Hearthstone, and then to go from that to having, players like Bloody Face and Dr. Jikanicki and That's Admiral come on the show and be part of that. And for
be part of that.
Yeah. And for me, it was fulfilling. And I do miss that about podcasting and being with you guys on a week in and week out basis. But it's the things that happened off air too, like after the show would finish and we would get real conversation with our guest, and not saying that what was on the show wasn't real, but it's like, you've just done a show together, you're talking, you've kind of gotten to know each other a little bit throughout the hour and a half that we were doing the show. And then, there's a reveal that kind of happens when no one is listening, and we don't script the show, but we have an outline that we try and follow. Once that outline is gone, once the games have been played, and it's just us talking through the mics but not recording, and it's those conversations were some of my favorite conversations, because they were real, they were authentic, they were raw, and I loved that.
In some cases our guests didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, there were times, because at that time I was working a job where I had to be up at 4:30 a.m. and we were recording, and it was the show ended at 9 and we're still on at 20 minutes till 12, and I'm like, guys, I've got to go to bed.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, I miss those moments.
All right, Zeroshio, how about you?
Diet France. That's my favorite. So the handshake from Versika. So we were talking about competitive. It was the global championships, the global tournaments that they were doing, where each country, various countries, I think there was like 20 some countries, had teams, and there was a tournament. It was a match between France, and Canada. And Versika referred to Canada as Diet France. And oh my gosh, our Twitters blew up. We had so many comments. People in the live chat when we were doing shows live on Twitch, they were going crazy over Diet France. I think there's still a clip out there of Diet France. Those type of moments where we've been told, we've done firesides together where Versika, Avantes, and I are sitting there talking about Hearthstone, and we have some people at the firesides that have either showed up to the firesides because they heard about it from our podcast, or they started listening to podcasts because they were coming to our firesides. And I think it was Inked one day said, "Man, this is amazing." I said, "What?" He says, "It's like we're at a live episode of Hero Power, just sitting here listening to you guys." And that was probably one of the biggest compliments I was ever given about this show, because people have said this show sounds like a bunch of guys sitting around just talking about a Hearthstone that they love in a very casual setting, and they sound like they're just 3 guys or 4 guys in case when Matt joined us that just love each other and they love the game, and they're just passionate about being friends and about playing a game they all share love for. And that to me was huge, because we don't do this for any kind of money. We definitely don't make any money off this. The only person that does it for self gratification is me, because I love talking about myself. But we do this because we want people to feel comfortable. We want people to like the content we put out, and the fact that we sound so natural and not scripted. Like Versika said, we have a show note with bullet points, but we almost never stick to those. We definitely didn't this week, and we haven't in the past. We constantly just bring up whatever we have on our mind. Not for my
lack of trying.
we bring up whatever we feel just on the spur of the moment, and we get off the rails. And that's the funnest part of doing this podcast, is being able to kind of just, like we're sitting at the bar, and in some cases we've done firesides at a bar, where we're just sitting around talking about something we love and just enjoying each other. I don't do a lot of hanging out. And my wife, sometimes has pushed me to go and have more real life friends that I do things with. This is my release. This is the dopamine injection I get for hanging out and being around people I love to be around. And all I can do is thank you guys for that. All 3 of you. Because while the show started with Avantes, Versika, and myself, Matt at Arms was part of the community really early and became one of our show hosts when Versika was going through a lot of health issues and we needed an extra fill-in. And then he was always, even to this day, while he's not doing the shows with us, he's always contributing to our show notes. He's helping us with a deck each week.
Yeah, he still does show planning.
Part of the crew. He is part of the crew. And I just got to say thank you for that. And thank you, listeners, for allowing me to have this, because I don't know what I would be without Hero Power. I'd have to change all of my profile pictures.
So yeah,
maybe changing profile picture again soon.
Yeah. So as Zeroshio pointed out there, Matt, you actually started out as just a listener, and you were one of our very first community members. So, talk about what the last 5 years is for you.
Yeah, I started out on this show as a guest when Firebat left Archon. That kind of gives you an idea of when I started.
The whole dog incident with Archon.
We're not going to get into that because Amaza's gross. Anyway, to me, Hero Power is really a community, especially the Discord. From at the height of the Discord, it was probably my favorite Discord in Discord, which is saying a lot because the Coin Conceit Discord is extremely active. But it's a place where I like to call home. I loved doing the show. I would still do the show if I still could, but weekends are hard. It's one of those situations where it was weekday evenings are a lot easier for me to set aside a time than weekends are. And I loved doing the community ranking spreadsheet. That's one of my favorite things I put into the community. I'm glad you and Hat have decided to take it over. I hope you guys do a good job, or he does. You continue to do.
Hat does a good job. Yeah.
Hat does a great job at it.
Yeah. It's in good hands. Hat's
hands. Is in really good hands. Yeah, it's in really good hands. But I wouldn't be. I've moved on to another show. I've started doing Squelch because they record late at night, and I'm available late at night during the week. And it's also a group of guys, and it's a community I kind of was with. They kind of came through. But I still love doing the show. I would love to be on the show more. It's just I'm glad I had an opportunity, and I wouldn't be the quote unquote person in the community that I would be if it wasn't for Hero Power and the community we have with the show. So it's been a blast. I love doing this. I love doing the show. I hope to come on a little more often, but I still throw weird Warlock decks at you and see what happens.
I like weird Warlock decks.
Yeah.
So real quick, we're not to cut Matt off.
No, please do.
No. I just let's talk favorite show moments.
Oh, there we go.
Real quick, let's talk favorite play, and let's talk most memorable thing that happened on a show besides Diet France.
I'll start. I have two. One is the Admirable episode where it was Coin Hero Power Turn 1 was one of the plays. And then
it was the best play.
Yeah, it was the best play. And then there was what was the other one where we literally full mulligan and drew the complete nuts, and everybody just it's in if you watch the intro, it's in the intro.
Yeah.
So the other play I have to say is I'm not sure if I was on the show or if I was watching. I was most likely watching where we were playing against some druid, and Vrixika just said, "No, don't do this. They're going to play Alexstrasza," and we're like, "No, it's not happening." And then they drop Alexstrasza, and
Damas.
And then Vrixika Damas was born. And yeah, that's one of my absolute favorite moments of the show.
That was fantastic. I loved that moment.
To kind of piggyback on that, it's multiple moments. Some of my favorite moments was Vrixika Damas. Especially when we get close to a reveal season, he would make guesses that literally would be right on the button, and people thought Vrixika must have a time machine, or he's clairvoyant. He's got a crystal ball next to his bed.
He's got a TARDIS.
Something's going on and people on Twitter, our community on Twitter, was just like, trying to get insight. Vrixika, what should I do? What should I do here? What should I do there?
What are the lottery numbers this week?
He predicted so many things in the Hearthstone community that it came down to people literally listening to our show and taking notes of what Vrixika said just so they could see how right he was. And he was.
Yeah,
he nailed all of Ice Crown's, not Ice Crown's,
Lich King.
Frozen Throne?
Frozen Throne.
Yeah.
So
he nailed all of that.
Go back and listen to the episode of Realm Maintenance where Zeroshio, Vrixika, and I guest starred. And Ro asks us, what do you guys think is going to be the next set? And Zeroshio says, Pirates versus Ninjas, as always.
That's all I ever say.
And Vrixika goes, no, I think it's going to be Lich King related. And then, the next week, they're like, hey, guys, here's the Frozen Throne.
So what's funny about that is his episode aired, and that happened. But Ro recorded that episode with us 4 months prior because he was doing it at the beginning of the year. And
that's
that
right.
set didn't release until August.
Had we even gotten the set before that?
No, we hadn't. So he was
we had. No, it had been announced.
That's right. It had just been announced.
Yeah.
And so
he was asking what we thought the next set was going to be. Yeah,
which was literally a whole. It wasn't like 3 or 4 weeks before.
Yeah,
it was a good 4 months before the set was even thought of. So
I remember that now.
It was really amazing, and Roe was just like, I don't know how he did that. I was like, we don't either. But other than that, I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off of Man at Arms. Was my favorite episode, and this is very mainly for me, was That's Admirable coming on the show. And not so much the show. I mean, I love the show. It's one of my favorites. But meeting him at BlizzCon and seeing him, he was sitting there talking to some people, and I kind of stood. I had my business card ready, and I introduced myself to That's Admirable. And he's like, I told him we'd do a podcast, this, that, and the other thing, and kind of did my spiel. He's like, yeah, I know. I want to be on your podcast. I was like, sure, yeah, great. That'd be great. So I started telling him when we record. He's like, yeah, I know. I want to be on your podcast. And at this point, I'm like, wait a minute. He knows who I am. And then finally he was like, no, you don't understand. You record on Wednesdays, because at the time we did Wednesday. He was, I'm always coming back on Tuesday, and if I have a job that week, I fly out on Thursday. So I'm always available Wednesday night. And I found out a little bit later that Dr. Jikaninki was on our show, and he, and of course, him and Nathan Zamora, That's Admirable, were really close friends. And he knew about our show and me from Dr. Jikaninki being on the show. So it was really kind of humbling and made me feel really good to realize that somebody of That's Admirable's caliber and expertise followed our show and not only was accepting coming on the show, he actually wanted to. And Versika mentioned after we, finished the show and stopped recording, that was one of the longest times. I think Nathan stayed on for at least another hour and a half with us, just talking about Hearthstone and various other things in real life. So that was probably my favorite episode and whole situation, and meeting him at BlizzCon. So that's my biggest memory.
Oh man. One of my things is that I love doing this show with you guys, and like Versika said, we started hosting fireside gatherings in the Knoxville, Tennessee area in 2014, a full year before we started this podcast. And that kind of led to me getting to some kind of unique opportunities as an innkeeper that I then exploited into opportunities for the podcast. So one of my favorite moments was I was on vacation and I'm watching Winter Championships in my hotel room on my laptop. My son and I have ordered Chinese to have delivered to the hotel because we were watching Winter Championships, and Dr. Jikaninki wins. That was the first time he became champion. And immediately I start reaching out through the Innkeeper network to Wava, who was the innkeeper in Virginia at the time. And I knew Wava was Dr. Jikaninki's innkeeper. And I said, hey, I want to have Dr. J on the show. I want to do an interview. Oh, God. Cthulhu just swallowed Man at Arms whole. I saw it. He walked right through it. Anyway, so I reached out to Wava and I said, hey, I want to interview Dr. J. And he actually put me in direct contact with Dr. J, and we were able to get him on the show almost immediately. I think we were one of the first people to interview him immediately following him becoming Winter Champion.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah,
And
it was like within 48 hours.
Yeah, that was absolutely one of my favorite things, was that world of innkeeping meshing with the world of podcasting, and it all coming together to help the show and to bring some exclusive content to our listeners, and that is probably one of my favorite things that I've.
Well, this was one of my favorite moments. We just got to watch Cthulhu swallow Mad at Arms and then regurgitate it back
Yeah, I know. He just like disappeared and then reappeared.
I had to go check on a ham that was in the oven. So.
It was just like, he's like, no, look, it's Mad at Arms again.
Yeah.
The ham is inside Cthulhu.
Yes, exactly. Hey, there's a lot of weird stuff in Cthulhu, and sometimes there's just a nice ham that's a spiral sliced ham that needs to come out of the oven.
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about on this show this week is 5 years ago when we started this show, we never expected it would be what it is. Versika and I had tried to do a gaming podcast previously called Casual Sunday Gamer, and we did about 80 episodes of that show, and then it just kind of fizzled out. It never really attracted an audience like Hero Power has. And we are so grateful to all of you who listen to us on a weekly basis. And
Well, you know the difference between that show and this show, right?
Yeah, we brought on Mad at Arms.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's right.
So about 3 years ago, when we really started pushing our Discord server, it was brought to our attention that, hey, we would love to buy t-shirts with the Hero Power logo like you can other shows. A lot of other shows have merch stores. Why doesn't Hero Power have a merch store? And at the time, it was because we didn't really have a partner. Well, I'm excited to announce for our 5-year anniversary, we have finally partnered with TeePublic. Let's see if I can pull up this. This website now. Hey, there we go. So we have partnered with TeePublic to be able to bring you exclusive Hero Power podcast merch. So now you can get shirts with the Hero Power logo on it. It won't look exactly like that, but you can get the full Hero Power logo on the front of a t-shirt, just like that. Or if you don't want the full shirt, you can get the small logo over the breast pocket, like that. But it's not just t-shirts. Thanks to TeePublic, we can also offer mugs. We can do pillows. We can do laptop cases. Pretty much, you name it, and TeePublic can make it happen. And not only do we have right now we have these two designs available for purchase today. Coming soon, we're very excited to announce that we're going to have some additional logos coming, including the Versika Mad Scientist, which you can see here, Shaman plus Trickery minus Aggro over Meta equals Lore Walker Cho.
Square root of the meta.
Square root of the meta, yeah, because that's the way Versika. What you see there is exactly how Versika's mind works.
Yep.
There's a reason we call him the Mad Scientist. And then one of the most popular sayings on Hero Power is coming to a t-shirt. Remember, if they're roping, they might be wiping.
I need that on my phone.
Well, you should be able to get that on a phone case. Let's see. Yep. You can do phone cases. So, yeah. So, we're working with TeePublic. These designs are still kind of in the works. We hope to have them available.
Still on paper.
Yeah, they're still on paper. We're working on trying to get them moved over here shortly so that we can get them uploaded and you guys can can order those if you want them. So we're super excited about this store. Head on over to tpublic.com/stores/hero-power-podcast. There will be a link to it on our website and a link to it in our show notes.
And just to kind of give you guys a heads up, those are the only 2 designs I could get ready for the 5-year anniversary. Currently, there are also 4 other designs that are in the planning stages. One is a Zeroshio Zono with the head and the hands, the
up here
thing that we have on our Discord. And then there's a Man at Arms Hearthstone / He-Man style themed shirt going on that I'm pretty excited about. And then there is an Avanti's Innkeeper with a mug shirt. And then there is I originally was working on one with the 3 original hosts based on a picture that we took at one of the tournaments that we put on. But I decided that if I was going to offer a shirt with the host of Hero Power, that it needed to be with all 4 of us. So I scratched that design and I started working on a shirt with all 4 of us, Avanti, Zeroshio, Versika, and Man at Arms, all together. And I've got a couple designs that I have kind of sketched out, and I haven't decided which one I'm going to go with yet. But I can promise you that shirt is going to be epic.
Nice. All right, so awesome. With that said, I am going to talk to our rep at TeePublic and see if we can have everything on the website put on sale to celebrate our 5-year anniversary. So if you guys want to go and pick up your official Hero Power logo merch, you can do that this week. This week only, it'll be on sale. So jump in there, and then we'll probably have some other sales periodically through the year, but when we do, we'll let you guys know about those right here on the show. So, all right, gang. Well, I want to thank Zeroshio and Versika and Man at Arms for coming on and hanging out this week. And as we were able to reminisce and look back at the last 5 years of Hero Power, and kind of...
I do want to interrupt you, Classic, 5 years later. I do want to give one more shout out and a huge thank you to all the other podcasts that help us get started. Just to name a few, Legend of the Innkeeper, Vestidius, and Espo, and Squishy Dragon, and all them over there, Arianwin, as well as, the Hearth Coach guys of Frid and Dan, all, obviously the ones that kind of came in the same as us, Coink and Seed, our Hat, Man at Arms. We want to thank the other podcast communities. And if you haven't gone out and listened to other shows, and you, God forbid, only listen to Hero Power, definitely go out there and search your podcast feed. Go to the Warcraft Radio directory and find other Hearthstone podcasts and give them a listen, because there are some great people out there that have helped us get started, did some collaboration episodes with us so that we could get more coverage, and they definitely deserve a listen as well.
Yeah, there are some great people doing great work, so go check it out. All right, guys, before we wrap up, does anybody other than Zeroshio have any last things they want to say?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Matt was saying about his new podcast and their philosophy, and it's something that I feel like Espo really brought to the table early, and that is that in the end, Hearthstone is about having fun. Mm-hmm. And if you're not having fun, you take a moment to step back and evaluate why you're playing or why you're doing anything. Hearthstone is designed to be fun first and foremost, and get out there and have a good time with it. Don't get so caught up in your head that you forget to have fun along the way. And I want to thank Matt and Arms for making that point again this episode, because I feel like we touched on it a little bit more in our previous recording. But I do want to, to really drive that point home. Be kind to each other, be good to each other, have fun with the game. It's just a game. You have fun and you play to enjoy, and I promise the ranks will take care of themselves. The skill level increase will take care of itself. Have fun, do what you want to do, play the game the way you want to play it, and I can promise you the other stuff will take care of itself.
All right.
Yeah, I can't follow that. That's too good.
All right, gang.
Yeah, but just thanks for having me on again. If you want to hear me talk nonsense about Hearthstone, rarely, sometimes, maybe more like about the fun stuff that goes on in Hearthstone.
Casseroles, lots of casseroles.
Lots of casseroles. Actually, if you look at our review for, we have a casserole recipe in one of our reviews. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you want the chili recipe I had that I made this weekend is amazing. I'll listen to next week's squelch. But other than that, yeah, thanks for having me on. And everybody in the community, be good to each other. It's a real rough time because, there's a lot going on in the world, and just, realize that we're all people. We all come together over this silly children's card game that, has tentacle monsters in it. So, it's, have fun, enjoy each other, be good in the communities, and, Hearthstone's a game. If you're not having fun with it, you want to move on to Hades like everybody else has, yeah, go ahead. We'll still be here. So, it's, yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. If you have any questions or you want to talk about our 5-year anniversary, shoot us an email at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube and ring that notification bell so you get alerts whenever we drop a new episode. For more details about our patron-only Discord, head over to patreon.com/heropower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.